All right, Shalom. All praises to the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Call Haloyim La. Allah Hayadawa Yahweh. B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rekak Wadash. All praises to our power Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, the God of the heavens and the earth, the God of the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You comprise the 12 tribes of Israel. You are the chosen people of the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Not to exclude you confusion of face, brothers and sisters, also known as Israelite foreigners and Gentiles in the Holy Scriptures. Double honor to the elders and apostles who have labored faithfully in this truth and are the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Habayath Madawadah, the house of David. The brothers labor to make their calling of election sure. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto you, brothers who are laboring faithfully, on the four corners of the earth to make your calling of election sure. To the Akim and Agwathium that are sincere and sincerely listen and believe on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai as coming back to the Most High, via the prophecies, via the word of the Most High, and being cleansed with the word, and being born again through the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, to the sincere Akim and Agwathium through the spirit that believe on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. To you I say Shalom as well, as the hopeful elect also. So this is Brother Sagalar coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to those that have eyes to see and that have ears to hear. Thus saith the Spirit. So, through the Spirit, so much is going on. We're living out Matthew 24 currently. Prophecies, are, flying like hotcakes. So much is going on, and we know that we're in the last days. So, I just want to give a quick little video, just going into the fact, but so much going on that oftentimes World War III, which is the end game of everything, of this current structure of this world and in the kingdom of heaven for the nation of Israel, the end game is going to be the missiles. The nations are going to be assembled and fight because that's prophecy. That's the prophecy of the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So oftentimes, because there's so much going on at one time, and the days are being shortened, so time is speeding up, as Yahweh Shai said it would be, that there's so much going on that World War III gets lost in the midst of it. And this is what's going on. China shoots rocket over Taiwan as U.S. sends cruise missiles. So these kinds of things have been going on over the last few weeks, but there's so much going on with the election and COVID-19, et cetera, that, these kinds of things doesn't get reported and talked about as much. But World War III is 100% on deck, and World War III is prophecy, so it's coming to pass. So what's the importance of that is, I'll get the first precept real quick before we start the video. Zephaniah 3:8, and it reads, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise thee up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." So the importance of that is that everything is going to culminate with World War III, which we are in the inner workings of World War III each and every day. And this is a major sign right here, of one of many major signs that the nations are assembling and getting ready to fight in the battle of Armageddon, Armageddon in Hebrew, the mounting of the troops.
Storm that is brewing in an Asian Pacific Rim, where the Trump administration is poking China again, some would say dangerously so, by selling Taiwan 7 major weapons systems. What is Taiwan getting? Well, to compete with China, or some might argue to keep China at bay, Taiwan is going to get offensive and sophisticated weaponry in the form of ground warfare equipment, mines, state-of-the-art drone warfare equipment, even cruise missiles. The U.S., by its own wording, is attempting to turn Taiwan's military into a, quote, fortress. But here's what's interesting. China doesn't even recognize Taiwan as a country. It considers the island a Chinese province, which means to them this sales deal is akin to a foreign country coming to the United States and arming California, right? How seemingly angry is China about this? Angry enough to fire off warning shots over Taiwan into the South China Sea, Taiwan says China's shooting a series of rockets from the Yellow Sea, right off the coast of China. You see it right there? Over the skies of Taiwan and into the South China Sea. Now, you ask yourself, as we watch all of these developments, just how dangerous is this game, and what might it lead to? Prime ministers, diplomats, corporate leaders in the region are expressing fears of an all-out war between these superpowers, which is why we continue to drill down on developments like this one, and because we believe it's time to do news again. What do you say? We look at the questions we think you'll be asking tomorrow after watching our newscast today. China shoots rockets over Taiwan. Are we witnessing a prelude to war? Why is working from home harder and more stressful than going to the office? I know you're thinking about that question as I ask it. And is the U.S. economy about to be hit with a severe rent crisis? We're going to break that one down for you. But as we bring you this newscast, China is warning the United States to cancel its economic meetings scheduled with Taiwan this Friday or else. China says if the U.S. goes through with those meetings this Friday, there will be, quote, serious damage to the U.S. economic relations with China. Meanwhile, for its part, the United States just this morning announced it is filing charges against 5 more Chinese nationals for hacking or spying on 100 U.S. companies. You know, every day it seems the relations between the United States and China gets worse and worse, continuing to leave many wondering, what's this going to lead to? Here's RT correspondent Alex Mihalovich.
From trade wars to weapons sales, the Trump administration has taken an aggressive stance against China, bringing relations with the Asian powerhouse to a new low. The U.S. has gone so far as to rally its allies in Asia to add pressure against China. Here's Secretary of State Mike Pompeo addressing the Association of Southeast Asian Nations.
Don't let the Chinese Communist Party walk over us and our people. You should have confidence that America will be here in friendship to help you.
While other states siding with the U.S. may irk China, it is Taiwan that is the sore spot. The United States and China have had an understanding regarding Taiwan for decades, something the Trump administration is seemingly ignoring.
The One China principle is the political foundation of China-U.S. relations. We urge the U.S. to abide by the One China principle and the 3 Sino-U.S. joint communiques and stop all forms of official exchanges with Taiwan, so as to avoid serious damage to China-U.S. relations and peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait.
To add fuel to the fire, the U.S. government plans to sell weapons to the island, including mines, cruise missiles, and drones. U.S. arms going to Taiwan is nothing new, but in the past, Washington strategically spaced out the sale of weapons in order not to irritate Beijing. This time, word is that the states will be selling Taiwan 7 weapon systems all at once. The proposed sale even has some in Taiwan concerned. The opposition in Taiwan's government are addressing the new level of tension by reaffirming their support of the status quo, which helps keep the peace with the mainland.
We have based the 92 consensus on the Constitution of the Republic of China so that we can continue
So we see the narrative continue to be set, which is World War III is imminent, and it's the end game. So I started in the book of, let me go back there. I started in the book of Zephaniah. I started in the book of Zephaniah 3:8. It says, Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord. And the Lord is speaking to the elect, because the scriptures tell us, in your patience possess ye your souls, Yahushua said. The scriptures also tell us that as it pertains to waiting on the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the scriptures tell us, that the Most High, through our patience, possessing our souls, meaning that's what salvation would come through. The Most High tells us, to allow Him, that vengeance is His, saith the Lord, Salakia. So the vengeance of the Most High is going to be the recompense, the payback. So when he says, "Wait ye upon me," the scriptures say, "In your patience possess ye your souls," and also in the book of Revelation, it tells us that here's the faith and patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahushua. So those are the commandment keepers, the believers, which is the elect, only the elect. So let me read it again. Zephaniah 3:8. "Therefore wait ye upon me," speaking to the elect, "saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations." So the Most High is determined to gather the nations to fight in World War III. "That I may assemble the kingdoms." The Most High, through his spirit, through the angels, is assembling all the kingdoms together to fight. "To pour upon them mine indignation, his righteous anger, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." So the earth is going to be completely in turmoil. Now, he said that he's going to gather all the nations. Now, at the head of that is the wicked. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So the wicked is at the head of that, but all the nations are being gathered. So what's going on with China and Taiwan and the U.S., and what went on a few weeks ago in Bahrain, with Bahrain and United Arab Emirates and the United States and other nations that are in, the so-called Middle East, the Eastern Gulf nations. We're seeing the assembling of the nations for what? For World War III. This is Isaiah 13 and verse 11, and it reads, "And I will punish the world for their evil." So there's an evil that the world has to be punished for. All the inhabitants of the earth. "And the wicked for their iniquity," and the wicked is at the head of that, "for their sin, for their wickedness. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible." So the Most High is coming to render recompense unto the world. Now, going to the next precept. So the nations are being gathered for World War III, and being gathered to be given recompense for the wickedness that they've done. So what is that? That's found here in the book of, go to the book of Psalm. The book of Psalm. So the Most High never forgot the wickedness of all the nations. Psalm the 83rd chapter. So this is what it means when he says he's going to punish the world for their evil. Psalm 83, and I'll go right to the point in verse 2. "For lo, thine enemies," the enemies of who? The enemies of the Most High, which are the enemies of the nation of Israel. All the nations, not named you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head." Because when they destroyed the nation of Israel, they became proud. The nations did. "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people," which are the Israelites, "and consulted against thy hidden ones." The Israelites are known as the hidden ones in the scriptures because pertaining to Jeremiah 17:4, they've been discontinued from their heritage, from their understanding of who they are. That's why you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, are totally oblivious. That's why you are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So it says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said," the nations, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation." See, the Most High never forgot the crafty counsel of the wicked in the other nations. That's why, once again, in Isaiah 13:11, it tells you the Most High is coming to punish the world for their evil. "They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembered." So the nations destroyed the nation of Israel, like it said that they would in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, by actually destroying the temple in 70 AD and scattering the people of the Most High and then selling them into slavery, which was the prophecy. And the nations came together to do that. Here goes the next verse, verse 4. "They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. For they, the nations, have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." And it proceeds on in the 6th, 7th, and 8th verse to tell you all the nations conspired against the nation of Israel. So that's why the Lord is coming back to render recompense to the world, to all the nations, that destroyed the nation of Israel. It took pleasure in that. Now, how does that pertain to prophecy further? Let's go to the book of Joel. Joel 3 and starting at verse 2. This is the book of Joel 3 and 2, and it reads, I will also gather all nations. See, the Most High say he's determined to gather the nations. Here's why. Because we see clearly that the nations destroyed the nation of Israel, sold them into slavery, and took pleasure in the destruction and taking away the name of Israel from the earth, which is subsequently, Salakia, took away, the Most High. They X'd out the Most High. They crucified the Most High, and the truth by taking away his people, because his people are a direct reflection of him. The representatives of the Most High on the earth are the children of Israel. So when they took the nation of Israel, and destroyed the nation, what they did was they put the Most High aside and set up their own gods as powers, because they knew that as long as the nation of Israel wasn't in power, that they would be able to enjoy, the power seat of the earth. That's why going back to the Egyptians, the Persian, the Mede, the Greek, the Romans, etc. All these different nations have ruled. The Babylonians, the different Hamitic nations, the African nations have ruled, and they've done that through the destruction of the nation of Israel. So it says, Joel 3 and 2, I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh judges. The word Jehoshaphat in the Hebrew means Yahweh judges, the Most High judges. So the Most High is taking them into the valley of judgment and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. The Most High is going to recompense them for his people, for what was done, what we read in Joel the 83rd chapter, and Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, and various other chapters that prove what the nations did to the nation of Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations, see, during the transatlantic, Arab, and Dutch slave trade, to name a few, and Native American slave trade. All of these slave trades, when you look them up, they sent the nations of Israel to the four corners of the earth, like the prophecy said. It says, they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land, and they divided the land of Israel. And you have, the 1948ers, who are currently in the land, who are the fake Jews, pertaining to Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. The fake Jews are in the land now. They're not the real Israelites. So it says, and they have cast lots for my people. They put us on auction blocks and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Now, what does all that mean? Let's go down. This is the recompense that's coming to the nations. Verse 8, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall send them to the Sabeans, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the Gentile nations, the non-Israelite nations. Prepare war. So the Most High is preparing war, because this is the final part of prophecy, the final piece of the puzzle that's going to end the whole thing. This is the key to it all. This is the key to our salvation. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. The mighty men are being awakened. It says, let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. All these nations before that weren't known as, nations of war, that were very peaceful people. Now they're buying weapons and munitions and missiles, like you see Taiwan doing and all the other nations, because the nations see what time it is. It's a time of war, as it says in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. It's a time for war and a time for peace. We're in a time of war. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, all you non-Israelite nations, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So the Lord is bringing the nations together to render to them recompense or payback for all of the wickedness that they done. So now we got the prophecy showing that. Let's get a few more. We'll close the video out. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, I believe is what I'm looking for. So, this is 2nd Ezra 13, starting at verse 1. So what does that look like further? the recompense of the nations. 2 Ezra 13, which also precepts with Revelation, the 19th chapter. They in essence reinforce each other. They're both both of those chapters precept, pretty well. 2 Ezra 13 and 1, and it reads, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof," which is speaking of the firmament, the heavens. And I beheld, and lo, that man is Yahushua, waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. The scriptures tell us that the angels of the Lord are 10,000s, even thousands of angels. So Yahushua is coming with the thousands of heaven, which are the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Once again, precepts of Revelation in the 19th chapter, amongst many others, showing you that this is going to be the coming of Mashiach Yahushua. So the nations are being gathered to fight, and then Yahushua is going to come and devour the nations and first deliver the elect before the missiles hit. So it says, "And all things trembled that were seen under him, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth," which are those lasers, "all they burned that heard his voice." That was going to be how the Most High is going to speak, how Yahushua is going to speak through the Most High. It's with those lasers and those angels shooting concentrated fire out of those chariots. "Like as the earth faileth when it fleeth the fire, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a great multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea," speaking of Yahushua. They came to attempt to fight with him. The scriptures tell us, between these chapters, Revelation 19 and here in 2 Ezra 13, that those nations were afraid, but the Most High put a spirit on them to fight anyway. "Behold, I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it." So Yahushua is going to be in a massive chariot, as shown in many movies, and that chariot is going to be so big, it's going to be it was compared to being likened unto a mountain. But I would have seen the region or the place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. It was so big, the prophet Esdras didn't even know what part of the earth it was in. It was so big, it covered the earth. So we've been seeing chariots near the moon that's been, spotted as multiple times bigger than the earth. So verse 8, "And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yet durst fight," because the Most High is going to put a spirit on them to fight anyway, even though they're going to be afraid, because it's not going to be it's going to be a flawless victory. It's going to be a TKO when Yahushua coming back with the angels. Continuing on, "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up a hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he set out of his mouth," speaking of those chariots again, "and as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight." So he's going to destroy, the nations is going to try to fight against them, "and burn them up every one, so that upon a sudden of as innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid." So there's nothing was going to be perceived but dust and the smell of smoke. That's after Hamashiach Yahushua returns. Now, why is that important? When you go back to 2 Ezra's the 2nd chapter, it also precepts with that as well. So 2 Ezra's the 2nd chapter, starting at let's see. 2 Ezra's the 2nd chapter, starting at the 38th verse, and it reads, "Arise up and stand, behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of our Lord." So after this destruction, the elect are going to ascend back out of the chariots back to earth, and then that's going to start that wedding feast, which is the children of Israel being married back to Yahweh through Yahushua. It says, "Those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord, which are departed from the shadow of the world, and have received glorious garments of the Lord." So those glorious garments are going to be all white garments, coming back down those chariots to assume the power seat of the earth. It says, "Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. That's the elect that were written in the book of life since the beginning of the world. The number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people which have been called from the beginning may be hallowed, so may be holy. So that's going to be to show that all the prophecies have been fulfilled, which is the establishment of the kingdom of heaven. I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them was a young man of high stature, which is Yahushua, taller than all the rest. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marvel at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of the Most High. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of the Most High, whom they have confessed in the world. And that's Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. So those that stand so stiffly for the name of the Lord are the men that go out and do this work in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Now, what is that precept with? Just to end it out, Revelation the 14th chapter is one of many, and I'll get that to close it out, because this is what is the end game of this place. Recompense coming back to the nations, and Esau being ahead of that. Revelation 14:1, and it reads, after the destruction, World War III, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads, which is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And in this word, in the names, it says, and I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping their harps, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. That's the elect. And you go on and it speaks about that unnumbered multitude as well, which is the 1/3. Those are the only ones that can receive this word. The only ones that can, get this word and teach it are the 144,000. The only ones that can receive it are the 1/3, which is the elect of the nation of Israel. So with that, I hope that was edifying to the hopeful elect. Call halal yumla, Allah hayanahu Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations. Habayath Madawadah to the house of David. To the listeners and brothers and sisters that believe on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. To you I say shalom as well. Shalom.